The story begins with Fran, the housekeeper, carrying a breakfast tray up to Harlan Thromby's study in his massive Victorian-style mansion. She knocks on the door, but gets no response. As she pushes it open, her breath catches in horror. Harlan is lying on the couch, his throat slit, blood streaking down his neck. The tray slips from her hands, sending food and tea crashing to the floor. The Thromby family gathers at the mansion for questioning by the police. Detective Elliot, Trooper Wagner, and Private Investigator Benoit Blanc lead the interrogation. Ratch family member offering their version of the events leading up to Harlan's death. Linda, Harlan's eldest daughter, carries herself with confidence. A successful real estate mogul, she believes she is her father's intellectual equal. She fondly recalls their special bond, claiming he trusted her the most. But a flashback contradicts her words. During his birthday party, Harlan hinted at cutting her off financially. She also remembers seeing her husband, Richard, argue with Harlan in private. Richard insists his conversation with Harlan was normal, but in reality, a flashback reveals a tense confrontation. Harlan had discovered Richard's affair and threatened to expose him, writing a letter that would ensure Linda learned the truth. Walt, Harlan's youngest son, manages the family's publishing company but is entirely dependent on his father. He claims they had a strong relationship, yet a flashback tells another story. That very night, Harlan fired him, insisting Walt needed to carve his own path. Shocked and furious, Walt was left reeling. Joni, the widow of Harlan's deceased son, is a social media influencer and lifestyle guru. She portrays herself as loving and kind toward Harlan, but in reality, he had recently discovered she'd been stealing from him, double-dipping on her daughter's tuition payments. That night, he cut her off financially. The only family member absent from questioning is Hugh Drysdale, Linda and Richard's son, also known by the nickname Ransom. The detectives note that Ransom stormed out of the birthday party after a heated argument with Harlan. The family dismisses him as a selfish, reckless troublemaker. Marta Cabrera, Harlan's devoted nurse, is brought in for questioning. Unlike the others, she cannot lie. Her body makes her puke whenever she lies. As she speaks, the story flashes back to the night of Harlan's death. After the birthday party, Marta and Harlan played their usual board game, Go. She accidentally gave him a lethal dose of morphine, believing she had mixed up the vials. Panicked, she searched for the antidote, but the bottle was missing. Harlan, eerily calm despite his impending death, devised a plan to protect her. He instructed her to leave through the front door and re-enter through the side entrance to avoid security cameras. Then, she was to climb the trellis, wear his robe, and be seen walking downstairs, creating a false timeline, thus creating an airtight alibi for her. Hesitant, Marta tried to stop him, but Harlan slit his own throat before she could act. Though the police rule his death a suicide, Blanc suspects foul play. He uncovers key clues: a broken part of the trellis, muddy footprint on the carpet, an inconsistency in the security footage. Desperate to keep her secret, Marta subtly steers the investigation away from her. The family reconvenes for the reading of Harlan's will, expecting to inherit his fortune. Instead, they are stunned. Harlan left everything to Marta. His house, his publishing company, his entire estate now belonged to her. Shock turns to outrage as the family turns on Marta, accusing her of manipulation. Amid the chaos, Ransom pulls Marta aside and drives her away. At a diner, he orders food and urges her to eat, trying to keep her calm. Confiding in him, Marta reveals everything: how she mistakenly overdosed Harlan and how he orchestrated his own suicide to protect. Ransom listens intently and encourages her to stand her ground against the family, promising to help. Later, Marta receives an anonymous letter containing a partial copy of Harlan's toxicology report, suggesting someone knows the truth. Suspicious, Ransom and Marta go to the medical examiner's office, hoping to find proof. But as they arrive, they see the building engulfed in flames. It had been set on fire. As they flee, Blanc spots them and gives chase. The pursuit is brief and clumsy, ending with the police apprehending them. An officer chuckles, calling it the dumbest car chase of all time. Following instructions from the blackmailer, Marta arrives at a remote storage facility. Inside, she finds Fran unconscious on the ground. Checking her pulse, she realizes she's still alive. Next to Fran is an envelope containing the original toxicology report, concrete proof of what really happened to Harlan. Despite knowing it could incriminate her, Marta calls 911, prioritizing Fran's life. Blanc pieces together the final puzzle. Ransom had switched the labels on Harlan's medication vials, intending for Marta to accidentally poison him and lose her inheritance due to the Slayer rule. But Marta, relying on her instincts, had administered the correct medication anyway. Harlan was never poisoned. When Ransom realized his plan had failed, he torched the medical examiner's office to destroy evidence and attempted to silence Fran, believing she knew too much. As Blank lays out the truth, Ransom grows increasingly agitated. Marta tells him Fran survived and will testify. Enraged, Ransom confesses everything, only for Marta to suddenly vomit on him, revealing she had lied. Fran is dead, but now his confession is recorded by the police officer. Furious and cornered, Ransom grabs one of Harlan's knives from the display and lunges at Marta. He stabs her, only to realize the knife is a prop, completely harmless. The police tackle him to the ground, arresting him. Outside the mansion, the Thromby family stands in stunned silence, humiliated and defeated. Marta, now the rightful owner of everything, steps onto the balcony, gazing down at them. The family looks up, realizing they have lost it all, to the very woman they once overlooked and mistreated.